I think you're mainly looking at high winds if you live in that area. So let's get in closer and we'll talk a little bit more about the communities really affected here. It's roughly from Marshall Space Flight Center north, and as you get just to the south of Highway 72, and this is all moving east, and it'll cross Memorial Parkway here in about 15 to 20 minutes. And as far as the TV station goes here, we're located right about here. I think we're okay. This is going to be Oakwood Road here. And again, we're watching the area. It's moving east, northeast. We don't have any telltale signs that there's actually a tornado on the ground right now. Trying to look at the debris signature. Still a little bit muddy, so to speak, there. So go from 3D back to the home view here, and what we're seeing here again, when it kind of looks like Pepto-Bismol. It's kind of a mess. That's why we don't show it too much unless we're really concerned about high winds coming in. As we take a look at this velocity view here, we have strong gusty winds. This is why the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued up here as you go across the state line. This is south of Fayetteville. I know your weather radios probably went off for the severe thunderstorm warning, but what we're tracking are areas of strong gusty winds coming in from the west, and of course the lightning's probably picking up here as well. We'll turn the lightning back on.
And Brad, I will say you were looking at our CC, or we call it our correlation coefficient, to see those tornado debris signatures. There was a really well-defined tornado debris signature with that tornado warned storm in Marion County.
Okay.
Again, and we do have it's still in Marion County, but it is moving north-northeast. That's why we have a tornado warning there in portions of Franklin County. Again, we're continuing to watch this storm. When we get that tornado debris signature, essentially that shows us that objects are being lofted up tens of thousands of feet in the air. Of course, Brad can show you that at the wall, but we are closely monitoring the one in Marion County, also the one that is tracking into portions of the Huntsville metro area.
Yeah, okay, we go back out here and we're going to show you this debris signature. This is pretty much what we're looking for. As you get down to Hodges, starting to see some of that down here. Again, it's this little blue area. Let's see what that looks like correlated with the velocity data, and then we're going to loop that as well. So that's a little bit behind there, but what you were talking about was down into Marion County. So as we take a look, and this is probably what's left of it, this area in yellow. So I'm going to zoom this out, and we're going to put that into motion here, and you'll probably see what Chelsea was mentioning. It's probably going to pop up right about there. There it is. Yeah, so I would say we've got a radar confirmed tornado that has moved through northern Marion County. In fact, stop that. It's probably here near Reed Road because here's the tornado signature in its current state, but earlier near Reed Road it was a lot stronger. So we've had a tornado track was on the ground for probably 4 or 5 miles, maybe 6 miles. It may still be on the ground. So again, this is down here in northern Marion County. So let me stretch this out. If you're in Hodges, you need to be seeking shelter because we're starting to see some of that show up here, and maybe some of that's debris that's actually been lofted and is traveling in the wind farther to the north. So since we've had a tornado touchdown and the winds are out of the southwest, you could see debris falling there in Hodges as we go back to the velocity, and it's that same area coming in from the southwest. So again, concern there with a possible tornado, and again, this storm, let's loop that because it's showing some consistency here. It's moving to the east, and it's almost moving a bit southeast. So I think one of those circulations may have fallen apart. But again, thanks for pointing that out, Chelsea. Again, these are just along this. Yeah, you can clearly see the tornado threat here. I'm going to let this loop one more time. And this is a classic tornado that develops right there. Had what I call a donut hole, and that's where the radar data wraps all the way around, and there's a hole in the radar data, and you'll see that briefly right there. And we're still concerned south of Hodges, so let me put a storm track on this, zoom out just a little bit for you folks down there in Phil Cameron. Again, we're covering a lot of territory here. Let me know if you see anything out of that Huntsville storm, any reports, Chelsea?
Will do.
24 mile an hour is not going to do it, but I'm going to zoom out even more here. So let's go down the road just a little bit more for this storm here. moving it. I'm going to put it about 46 miles an hour. So Phil Campbell, I don't know if it's going to be a direct impact right now, or I don't know if this is going to hold together. But I'm telling you, if it does, that threat's going to be there around 10:16. That's 10 minutes from now, so 10-minute heads up. I do know I'm concerned for Hodges and Hackleburg. So Hackleburg, you need to be seeking shelter for a storm that does have a history of producing a tornado. So we're no longer in the point of we think there might be. There has been one, and it was on the ground for probably 6 miles, and we're still getting a little bit of blue here showing up. And actually, I think it's the area back here in yellow, southwest of Hodges, that is the tornado debris signature still showing up. So velocity still fairly high there. As far as what's going on, the rest of the area here moving into Russellville, lightning's going to pick up in Russellville. Very heavy rain, so there's 135 lightning strikes. We'll just average it out to the last 12 minutes or so. And the storm just southwest of Hodges shows the highest chance of seeing a tornado, because we've already had a tornado there. It was on the ground for at least 5 minutes. So as we kind of come back here to the Huntsville metro area, just very heavy rain right now. Velocity, I think the storm's falling apart a bit. I don't see the well-defined, and if this was producing a tornado, we would know it, because it's in a heavily populated area. We're getting lightning more concentrated in a smaller area here as this moves into downtown Huntsville. A lot more lightning. Again, I mentioned that storm near Tanner. That's moving towards Harvest, Monrovia, Capshaw, right down and just north of Highway 72. We're going to get in closer in just a second with that. But let's get in closer here into the Huntsville metro area. This is moving pretty much over the Marshall Space Flight Center, east of the Huntsville International Airport, and then it's down Zert Road, basically. As you get over here, Patton Road, Zert Road, this is going to be just to the south of Toyota Field, off of 565. If you're in Madison, I think the higher wind threat is south of Mill Road right now. I don't see an imminent tornado right here. And if you're up towards 72, I think you're okay, but we're still watching the lightning from the storm coming in from the west. So this storm looks a lot better. I think it's running into more stable air. Pardon me, just still watching this storm west of Hazel Green. There's not much lightning with it, but it does show some weak rotation in the mid-level. So that's just kind of maintaining what we have going on with that storm. Still concerned here on Highway 72. So again, before I do any more zooming, I'm just going to reset the view here and kind of summarize what's going on. Right now, we have 2 areas of severe weather we're monitoring. The most intense weather right now is farther south. It's farther south, Russellville, down just to the north of Hamilton, and it's in that area because there's more instability for that to work with. Now, these storms will continue to move to the east, so we're concerned down the road if the trend continues for areas Moulton, Hartselle, south of Decatur near Priceville, and then the other area is on a boundary that has momentum built up, and that's moving through the Huntsville metro area, now mainly on the east side of Madison. However, having said that, this other storm moving into Capshaw, pretty much right down Highway 72, is starting to intensify. It's producing more lightning. So we're going to take a closer look here at this storm, and we're going to get street level. And this area on the north side, it's got some rotation. It's weak though. There's not a lot of lightning, but maybe some isolated damaging wind there. Shear rate, it's not all that impressive. Let's go storm relative velocity and back to velocity. So we got that severe thunderstorm warning for northern Madison and southern Lincoln County. That's until 10:15. So I'm going to turn that off. And then the area kind of in between is moving down Highway 72, east of Athens, east of Lindsay Lane there. So we're going to look at this Boeing segment that's on the back side of this, and really doesn't show it very well there, but it's there. It's on the north side of Highway 72. You see that area coming in? And this area, let me stop that. Turn the lightning off too, because that lightning it's just so much lightning, it covers up the data. So what we're watching here is this bow in the line here, and there's probably isolated damaging winds moving into East Limestone there. That's going to be out in East Limestone as you get just west of Capshaw. Tornado warning will expire at 10:15, so we've got 4 more minutes on the tornado warning and about roughly 4 more minutes on the severe thunderstorm warning. So again, that area of strong gusty winds is out here towards Proline off of Capshaw Road. So let's get in here a little bit closer. Just east of Mooresville Road, down Nick Davis Road, north of Capshaw, down Pepper Road. This is going to track right through Nick Davis Road and continue to move east. What we're looking at is strong gusty winds, perhaps an isolated severe wind gust with that area there. More heavy rain. This is becoming a real serious rain threat overnight tonight too. As more rain continues to fall, we're probably going to start getting some flash flood warnings before too long. I'm going to focus back here to the west again. Tornado warning set to expire in 3 minutes. Have they said anything about continuing anything?
Yes, Brad. So they are going to continue that tornado warning. Again, it's now for, excuse me, my phone's sending off alerts as well. That is for Jackson, Limestone, and Madison County until 10:45. So again, another 30 minutes. They're going to extend that warning. Again, despite the circulation broadening or that rotation that we look for, we want to continue to track this because it's in a very favorable environment. It keeps riding along that boundary of instability, and we saw that storm over in portions of Marion and Franklin County where we had that confirmed tornado, that tornado debris signature. And essentially, it takes one little notch for it to spin up, and it didn't last that long, but that's what we're watching for with this Madison County storm. Again, that new tornado warning has been reissued. This includes Madison County, Limestone County, also portions of Jackson County as it continues to move to the east. This is until 10:45. Right now, we are not noticing any strong rotation, but that could change in an instant. So make sure if you are under a tornado warning, this means the red polygon, you should be getting a loud alert on your phone. You just heard all of our alerts going off in here. Make sure you stay in your safe place. Do not get out of your safe place until that tornado warning expires. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. Make sure you are in a sturdy structure for those. Not only are we tracking a tornado threat, but we have a lot of damaging wind threats. We're talking wind gusts as high as 65, 70 miles per hour. A 70 mile per hour wind gust, essentially that's a tropical storm, a low end speed there. So make sure you are in a sturdy shelter. I'm reading all of the comments and a lot of people are saying, I'm in this place. Is it okay for me to move yet? It's not okay for you to move yet unless that you are not in that polygon. So we want to make that very, very clear. Make sure you are staying in your safe place. Again, that tornado warning has been reissued for Madison County, Limestone County, also Jackson County until 10:45 this evening. And of course, if it holds all together, we're going to continue to track this into portions of our northeastern counties. We still do have a very favorable environment. This includes a good amount of instability that these storms are still riding on, and essentially they're getting fuel from. Of course, no confirmed tornado with this just yet. That confirmed tornado was in Marion County, but we will be sure and let you know. We use all of our products. Right now, this is our velocity product, and this is a good way to get the wind speeds, also to see if the winds are circulating. That circulation, as I mentioned earlier, still relatively broad. We do have some broad, I wouldn't even call it circulation, but I definitely would call it some gusty winds. In northern Madison County, again, this is moving to the east, I would say, about 50 miles per hour or so. Hazel Green, Meridianville, also Newmarket. If you get in on this, it's likely going to be a big burst of powerful winds. Again, main story, main focus at this time is our current tornado warned storm. This includes Madison County, also portions of Limestone County, in Jackson County. And that severe thunderstorm warning for Limestone County, in Madison County, the northern part, that has just been expired, but I'm still expecting some gusty winds to move through that area, as far as some heavy rainfall as well. And of course, we're going to take you to our storm relative velocity too. This shows some of that circulation a little bit better. Still very broad at this time. We're not noticing anything wrap up by any means, but like I mentioned earlier, it can wrap up in the matter of seconds. So that's why we want to keep a close eye on these things. And we're just going to go to our shear rate here. This is a good indicator to see if we're seeing any of this pick up right now. Right now it's on the weaker end, but again, do not let your guard down. If you are under the tornado warning, you need to be in your safe spot right now. Back to you, Brad.
All right. Hey, thanks, Chelsea. Changed out my batteries and got some water. We're good to go. Again, follow those instructions Chelsea just gave you. We continue to watch the storm moving through the Huntsville metro area that continues to kind of go back and forth on the possibility of a tornado. But I will tell you, the last few scans, we continue to watch, but there's just really nothing here at all. So again, take your tornado precautions, but I'm telling you, I do not see a tornado with this storm in Huntsville. I don't see a developing tornado either right now with the radar data we're looking at right now, and this is the 1016, so this is the latest update. It's really getting contaminated in here with a lot of this stuff going on, but I noticed that they actually have the tornado warning beginning here near I-65, which would be for different reasons out here to the west. And I don't see a tornado here. I'm going to be honest with you right now. I see a lot of lightning. We're getting power outages, and most likely the power outages are from lightning strikes. A lot of those, Lindsay Lane area out here where we have significant lightning along Highway 72. So I do not see any significant imminent threat for a tornado anywhere within the tornado warned storm. Storm relative velocity, this is completely off the boundary. In fact, what I'm seeing is the higher winds are actually out here just to the north of Hazel Green. So we no longer have the supercell structure to this. So I got to be honest, I'm a little confused to why they continued the tornado warning, because there's nothing really to support that right now, at least right now. But again, that comes to play where as it gets on and off of that boundary, strong gusty winds near Bridgeport moving along Highway Interstate 565. But overall, it's not a tight circulation. We're really close to the radar. So with that, we would see it, especially the way that storm looked earlier. So it is clearly half the storm it was. But again, the tornado warning continues here. They've extended it back into Madison too, tracking east-northeast. So very heavy rain and a lot of lightning. We're going to go back out here to the west. We'll keep that storm in view though, and we'll switch back over to the GWX radar. Take a look at velocity there. Radar there, and I do want to briefly go back down here towards Phil Campbell. Again, you should stay in your tornado shelter here in Phil Campbell, as there's still a possibility we've got a tornado. This storm is much stronger than one in the Huntsville metro area as well. And we switch over to the velocity, and again, this is not really showing a strong tornado signature, but this could change briefly as well. So stay in your shelter there. East of Hodges now, south of Rockwood and on towards Phil Campbell. Russellville, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. And as we look from afar, we don't see, like usually if you look even from this far on a significant supercell storm, you'd see really big, what we call storm top divergence from this storm over the Huntsville metro area. And as we get in closer, again, this is going to go over Green Mountain, and that's another player here. As it goes up in elevation, the entire storm is forced to rise up, and on the other side, that's where you can get the vorticity there, increasing on the other side of the mountain. So we'll watch that area as well. So as we get in closer, street level here into the city of Huntsville, now crossing the parkway, lightning picking up a bit. So it's going to be these areas here we watch as I put this down. Again, I think the possible circulations along the parkway just south of there as we turn the velocity back on, and that's where the strongest inflow into the storm is. But once again, there's no need to panic right now. If you're in your shelter, maybe your heart rate's picking up, the lightning's picking up, maybe the power's kind of flickering on and off again, which is probably due to the lightning in the area. I don't see an imminent violent tornado. Definitely I don't see that. And right now I don't even see a strong tornado indication, but you could have some of those lower end type tornadoes as this is forced to rise over Green Mountain. So that circulation area pretty much south of Drake Avenue along Whitesburg Drive, Martin Road as you enter towards Marshall Space Flight Center here on the east side, and this continues down. So as this moves east, we will have to watch to see as it goes through Jones Valley, of course. That's an area to the east of the mountainous areas, and then it's going to climb again as it goes here north of Big Cove and over towards Gurley. So not a whole lot of lightning associated with this. There is a lot of lightning for just a thunderstorm, but it's not the continuous strobe lightning that we had earlier when the storm was moving into Decatur. So as we go back to the radar, again, this is unorganized, but it could be reforming as it's on just north of the boundary now. Again, what we're watching, the main concern here is right along the Parkway into downtown Huntsville, Clinton Avenue, Drake Avenue, off to the east. And even though they've got the tornado warning over here for East Limestone, I just see a lot of lightning there and some strong gusty winds. The storm will continue to move east-northeast. So as this, again, a lot of times we see with the history of these storms as they come through, the wind can change and funnel just a bit as it rides the higher terrain here as it gets into the valley, and then changes happen down the road with the terrain. So this is terrain. If we do get a tornado here, it's totally going to be terrain driven here with this storm as it's forced to rise, and then on the other side, because the atmosphere basically has a limit, like the ceiling in your house. So the bottom of that storm is forced to go up and over, and once it gets to the other side, it goes down. So that's when you can spin up a tornado here as it moves across Montesano and Green Mountain. So let's get back in here into Huntsville, right along Drake Avenue. I'm going to turn the loop off again, but it's the area along Drake Avenue, velocity. Still some strong gusty winds here. And if this storm is doing damage, our scanner is going to be going crazy out in the newsroom. And so far, I haven't heard any reports of that. We don't have any reports of any damage. Do we have anything from the Weather Service at all?
Not one report, Brad.
Again, this storm has been going on for an hour, and we don't have one damage report from it.
Here's what I do have, you all.
Okay, let's go to Margot. What do you, I don't know.
So I've been monitoring comments and I've been monitoring those damage reports. Good evening, everybody. So what I have at this point is significant power outages across the Tennessee Valley. So let's start with the worst at this point. So that you'll find in Lauderdale County, where 1,600 homes, customers, are without power at this hour. Athens, when you were talking about that damage, Brad, Athens has some damage. This is like a fence down, a tree down, sporadic. Highway 72 around Lucas Ferry in the Vestavia Estates subdivision right there. So that's the damage that I've gotten so far. But if you all see any damage out there, you help us tell the story better than anybody. Videos, pictures, send it on into us. But at this point, power outages and significant lightning reports. That's what I'm seeing on the comments. Folks are commenting about the most, the amount of lightning that they're seeing. And so also Decatur has another set of significant power outages, 1,300 people out there. So that's what I'm seeing so far, Brad. I'll keep monitoring things for you.
Okay, now as we speak, they have trimmed back the tornado warning. Madison, you're no longer in it. So again, I was kind of wondering why they had issued it so far west, because there was absolutely nothing going on there. And it's clear that if there's any threat here, it's now crossing Green Mountain and Montesano and headed into Jones Valley towards Hampton Cove. North of Owens Crossroads, you can see Big Cove on here, Grissom High School area, Lily Flag. Your winds are going to increase quite a bit there, maybe 45 to 50 miles per hour. But this is the time we're going to have to watch this closely as it moves towards Ryland, Maysville, and Gurley down the road. And that circulation is near Dug Hill Road now and Montesano Boulevard. So it is going up the mountain. We're going to see what happens when it gets to the other side, because as I mentioned earlier, that vortex is going to have to drop a bit. So sometimes that can change things. But I've seen several storms that are really mean in Decatur, and they cross 565 and then they get into less favorable environment and then fall apart some. And not saying this isn't completely falling apart, but the tornado circulation that it had in Decatur, it's not that at all. So I just want to make sure maybe that give you some sense of calm here as the storm moves in. The lightning picking up in Maysville off Highway 72, and again the thunder's going to kind of roll through the mountainous areas here as this moves into Jackson County as well. And overall, I think the instability will be even lower over here into Jackson County, but still very heavy rain out Highway 53 towards Harvest, Monrovia up to Meridianville, Hazel Green, Newmarket, very heavy rain there. Madison, it seems like it's not going to stop raining because there's more rain coming in from the west. I do want to update the radar out here to the west as we take a look at significant lightning in and around Phil Campbell. Let's get in here and see what this storm is doing. This is going to move to the east just south of Moulton. A lot more lightning concentrated, and that's the key here when you're looking at severe weather, is that concentration of lightning going on. I'm going to switch to the velocity here and in around Phil Campbell. That storm is passing you, so here in about 10 minutes, I think you're going to be all clear here in Phil Campbell and in Hackleburg. We don't really have that tight circulation there with that storm. And again, no debris signature there. But however, we get it towards Hackleburg. Let's, I think that's out ahead of it though. But it still could be some, here was the debris signature earlier. And there may be a little bit of debris along the leading edge of the line here, probably just tree limbs and things like that, just because the wind is so strong across these areas. And that's tracking almost east-southeast into the Grayson area, Double Springs, and down here's closer to Smith Lake. So overall, this line of storm, I think this is the line of storms we have been watching on the forecast guidance that's eventually going to continue to track to the east and mainly pose some isolated damaging wind and maybe an embedded tornado risk there. But what we've seen, I mean, the model guidance is probably underestimating the rainfall, and that could be a real big issue overnight tonight and for the morning commute with very heavy rain. And we see that with these big convective systems that come through, and we're probably seeing that tonight. So some areas could pick up 2 to 3 inches of rain.
Brad, and I will say
tonight.
On that note, as far as damage reports, we haven't necessarily gotten some hail or wind damage reports, but those flash flooding reports are starting to come in, especially across northwest Alabama, because they have been getting dumped and dumped and dumped with rain. Rain's still coming, and it will be lingering into tomorrow morning. Flash flooding right now in Colbert County. This is at Old Highway 20 and Justice Drive. Reports of 3 to 4 inches of water over roadways and under several mobile homes in the area. So I do not recommend, even if you're not in a tornado warning right now, I do not recommend getting out and about. These are going to be treacherous conditions to drive in right now and likely in the early morning hours while it is still raining. Also, we are getting reports as well of NOAA weather radios not functioning properly. This is going to be for DeKalb County when the tornado watch was issued. If your NOAA weather radio is not functioning properly, please download our WAFF 48 weather app. You will get alerts. This is a great way to get those watches and warnings as we continue through the rest of the evening. Don't be alarmed. Your NOAA weather radio or whatever device you use to get watches or warnings probably will be going off a lot tonight, especially for flash flood watches and warnings, things of that nature, because again, this threat is going to be trending towards that later as we head into tomorrow morning. But again, that tornado warning storm, in Franklin County that has been allowed to expire. Of course, we will continue to watch trends. We still do have that tornado warning storm for portions of Madison County into Jackson County right now. Circulation almost non-existent. I would say it's very, very broad. We still are tracking some gusty winds though. Also a lot of lightning with this that we want to keep a close eye on, because lightning is a good indicator that the storm is gaining strength. And again, a lot of these storms have been riding along that boundary of the most favorable conditions where all that instability is for these storms to really get juice and fire up. Nothing Again, no confirmed tornado as of right now for the Madison County area or Jackson County, but we're going to continue to watch this closely. Again, that tornado warning is all the way until 10:45, so another 15 minutes before everyone can get out of their safe place if this warning is not extended downstream. Brad.
All right, just going through some of my messages here coming in. Sometimes this is the only way to do it. Just got a picture from the New Bethel area in Colbert County. Looks like a fire probably started by a lightning strike strike there. Fire department is on the scene. Again, that's in Colbert County. That came in about nine minutes ago, actually at 10:09. Overall, seeing just a lot of lightning reports and a little bit of debris here. Again, probably some tree limbs there in the city of Athens. So we haven't had any structural damage except for maybe the lightning report there. And again, we'll hope to continue with this as we see this off to the northeast, the Maysville area. Now, that circulation center, it's weak, but it's still there moving towards Maysville and right towards the Paint Rock Valley. So I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to track this storm for you. Overall, so far, just very heavy rain, and I'm sure we're getting more street flooding. And it all begins where we had the heaviest rain earlier, and we're likely going to see more heavy rain and flash flooding. So again, tune in tomorrow morning at 4:30. Meteorologist Eric Burke and the rest of our morning news team will have the latest on any flooding impacts that happened during the overnight hours. We will not be having severe weather tomorrow morning. We will eventually be rain cooled, and it will just be heavy rain. But I think a secondary round of heavy rain will come in after 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So let's get over here towards Maysville. I'm going to stop the loop here. Again, the storm is now just to the east of the mountain, so it's down in the valley here. So let's see if the velocity has changed, and it hasn't changed at all. So overall, we're looking at strong gusty winds from northeast of Hazel. Look at that there. Oop, that just popped up. So again, we may get a tornado warning for this storm here based on velocity. This is northeast of Hazel Green. Again, we're just south of the state line. Let me put that into motion. This could be what we call a bookend vortex. Let's see what the loop does. If it takes, yep, we may have a tornado right here. So take tornado, there's no tornado warning. Take tornado precautions up here. This is Buddy Williamson Road, Manley Road. May have a spin-up tornado right there, bookend vortex. This is pretty much a classic here as we go west of the Plevna area. Again, this is northwest of Newmarket, just to the northeast of Hazel Green. What you just saw there, these happen very quickly. You've got this bow echo here, and on the northern edge of it, this is called a bookend vortex. They happen very quickly, so I think we may have a tornado that is touching down here. This is just south of Lincoln Road as you get up into Lincoln. This is the state line. This is east of Hazel Green. Let me get to the mileage here. This is off of Butler Road, on the northern side of Butler Road. Once again, let me grab the ruler. This is going to be northeast of Hazel Green, about 3.5 miles, 4 miles or so. Possible tornado spin up here that we're seeing on the radar data just south of the state line. And where is it going? Let's put a storm track on here. Again, sometimes these don't live very long, but this is a classic bookend vortex spin up here, moving northeast, and I'm probably going to change the times here. So Huntland, you want to be on the lookout for this, probably around 10:50 or so to 11 o'clock. And we're going to back this up with the velocity once again, and there you see it, plain as day. That's a tornado signature for a bookend vortex tornado. As you get west of Plevna, we'll see what the latest update will show. The shear rate probably doesn't even show it. There it is. So,
Brad, and I
it.
think National Weather Service in Huntsville, they issued a severe thunderstorm warning, I believe, for that, but they have a tornado possible.
There's no warning up there for this at all. So right now there's no warning at all for this storm northeast of Hazel Green. And we've got a classic signature here of a bookend vortex. So you need to be seeking shelter for a brief touchdown here, perhaps west of Mid Spring Road. It's still there. Here's the latest velocity. Let's get that up. Yeah, so we're still watching this. Again, this is near Buddy Williamson Road, tracking to the east-northeast. I'll get back to the radar here. I'm going to put that into motion, and you're going to actually see the northern half of this storm, the wind funnel in, and then the back edge, the rotation. This is classic here. Again, there's still no warning out for it. There probably will be soon with the velocity the way it looks right now. So here's a look at that velocity. Then all of a sudden, the spin up. They put a severe thunderstorm warning out for it right now.
There
Again,
it is.
It's possible we may have had a tornado. Let's take the debris signature here. It was very quick here, and it still has signs of some rotation. So let's go back here. There it is.
Does it have a TDS? Yeah, that's a tornado
That's
debris.
a tornado debris signature. So I think we've had a tornado touchdown here. That's it. Buddy Williamson Road, possible tornado, maybe confirmed. We'll see if this turns blue, but I think this is a debris signature, what we're seeing here. This is along Buddy Williamson Road. Let's get in street level here. You get down Boyles Road, it's east of there, and this is Boyles Road and Walnut Grove Road. Debris signature showing up on the radar where we were looking at a developing tornado in a comma head, a bookend vortex is what we call it. Shear rate continues to be high in this area as well. There still may be a tornado on the ground. Again, this is why we try to look everywhere as much as possible for possible tornadoes. So this is going to continue to track. Let's see the track here. This may be moving a little bit more east than northeast, but the severe thunderstorm warning they put out has this moving northeast. Yeah, there's the tornado warning. So again, we gave you, what, 10-minute heads up on that? A tornado is likely on the ground with this storm right now, moving just to the north of Plevna. It's on Buddy Williamson Road. And even this area here of Madison County, this is becoming more and more populated as Hazel Green expands. So be in your shelter. It's likely we've got a tornado on the ground because the tornado debris signature basically tells us that. That in the radar, that was a classic comma head tornado that's probably still on the ground there. Yeah, the circulation's actually tightening up. So this is actually just went away. So again, spin up. But overall, I think we've had a tornado there. With the latest update, let's see if the debris signature has changed. It's starting to go away. So I think we may have just had a 5-minute tornado in northeastern Madison County. This is going to track along Limestone Road and eventually could impact Huntland. And we don't have any signatures showing up here in the Huntsville metro area. Again, this is blue. That's just all kind of trash, so to speak. We're losing the red here. So again, that's just how quick those things happen. I'm really glad. Hopefully we could pass that along, but I think we probably have damage out here. Let me zoom back in and show you the area. It's going to be near Butler Road, Buddy Williamson Road, in around Manley Road. And with the data kind of coming off here, you can kind of see with this, I want to show the debris signature here again. Actually get off of that.
Brad, and we are getting comments about damage in Newmarket.
Damage in Newmarket? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Newmarket's kind of spread out as well. Did you say you have pictures of that as well?
No pictures as of right now, but I'll keep a close eye to see if we get any damage
Okay, I'm going to go back to the shear rate, and I'm going to turn that off, and we're going to get here, and we're going to look at what was basically in the path of that as you get west of Buddy Williamson Road. So again, put it back to the home area here, get our bearings again. Severe thunderstorm warnings still continue out west. We'll get there. I just want to kind of see where we may have had damage here northeast of Hazel Green. Again, this was about three miles. I'm just going to give that up. It's not going to let me do that. But again, the Buddy Williamson Road area, going to monitor that for possible damage. And the storm is probably moving. It's moving away now. So overall, I think the tornado threat's going to go down, but there's still probably some damaging wind gusts. We'll get another storm track up there in just a second. I want to update you here. The tornado warning has been dropped now for Madison County, but they have extended the severe thunderstorm warning into Jackson County. Just some high winds, so that circulation for the tornado went away about the time it moved into Madison about 30 minutes ago. I'm quickly going to go out here and update you in Moulton and Russellville. Again, a lot going on when you're tracking changing weather conditions. We're going to switch the radar source over here, and you can see just starting to become a very heavy rain and gusty wind event. It is rain cooled across the northwest corner of the state. I don't think you're going to see any more severe thunderstorms. You're probably going to see more lightning up here in Florence. And let me kind of draw this out for you. I know some of you are probably trying to think about going to bed here, but man, if your phone is like our phones in here and you got that tornado warning, I think that will wake you up in the middle of the night. But again, multiple sources for weather warnings, especially here in Alabama where we get severe thunderstorms. Seems like every other day now, but can get them at night, in the middle of the night, and that's when you really want that alert. So you get northwest of this white line, and I think we're quickly becoming just rain cooled and a heavy rain event. We are going to continue to watch this storm down here south of Russellville as it's on that boundary, kind of like the storm as it moved into Decatur was. So this is just on the southern fringes of the viewing area, moving into the Bankhead National Forest. And storm reports out of here, it's going to be tough, especially with all this lightning. Power outages may go out, internet may go out, maybe cell phone range is a little bit LTE, things like that, a little bit hard to come by. But area, Phil Campbell, I think you're okay. You got more heavy rain coming in from the west. Russellville, still more heavy rain. Flooding is probably going to be your biggest concern for the rest of the night. Let's take a look at this storm relative velocity, and it's this southern part of this storm that concerns me the most. It's east-southeast of Phil Campbell. Some gusty winds still in Phil Campbell. The lightning is still very intense, but a lot of this lightning is starting to move away from you in Phil Campbell. So concern down here in Haleyville. Some of you may be watching our broadcast down there. And again, when we're on social media and we're on our apps, you can get us anywhere across the country. And some of the people are asking, how do you watch on Roku or how do you watch on Apple TV or the Fire Stick? We actually have an app. And you download the app and it shows up in a little square just like everything else. Say you got HBO Max or anything like that, Paramount, it'll show up, WFF 48 News and Weather. And when we're streaming, you'll be able to get us there as well. So again, multiple ways to get warnings, multiple ways to watch programming here. You can also find our newscasts there and replays as well and additional information. So just thought I'd pass that along in case you lose power and you're trying to figure out how you're going to get our broadcast. And by the way, if you haven't rescanned your digital off-air antenna, we've increased the power of our antenna so it now stretches across much of the viewing area now, especially up into Middle Tennessee where we had difficulty in previous years. So having said that, let's get on into the thunderstorms that continue to cause issues with a lot of lightning and the potential for damaging winds down here. But this is more of a severe thunderstorm, straight line wind in event down here. But we'll have to watch the southern edge as this goes closer to Grayson. Let me put a storm track on this because I know that's probably what you're wondering there in southern Morgan County. And I was over in Eva the other day reading to the elementary school, and this storm's going to be close to Eva. I'll put this at about 50 miles per hour in case the storm accelerates a bit, because at some point in time, I think the momentum is going to build up more as this moves east-southeast. So Hartselle around 11:18, and currently it is 10:42. Falkville 11:21, Eva 11:34. And this storm could intensify a little bit more because there's still quite a bit of wind shear. So we're still watching this for a tornado threat down the road. I don't think it's a tornado threat now. It's more of a straight line wind threat there. And then on towards Arad, perhaps, I would say that'll be around midnight. Hopefully, it'll kind of have the same fate here as the Huntsville storm and as it moves out of the more unstable air. Let's check back in up here for our viewers up in southern Middle Tennessee. If you're north of Newmarket, this storm here is continuing to move northeast and away from you. As we switch over to the radar, take a look at the velocity, and it's really lost that whole. That's how quick it happens. That's why I didn't stay up here, because it was gone in about over 10-minute time. We went from tornado development to tornado and then tornado gone.
Brad, if I may.
Go ahead.
A lot of the folks, I don't know if you can do a quick rundown on who you can clear at this point, because a lot of folks are saying, can I go to bed? You know, the typical question that we get. Is there anybody on the map that we can clear at this point that are in the...
Florence, I think you're all clear over in Florence. Have they started dropping the watch for anybody? I know they're probably, they being the weather service, probably pretty busy.
They're working on communicating that, but nobody dropping the watch right now.
No watch drop yet. So again, I think we're mainly looking at heavy rain as the instability has moved away from the shoals. But we've got some issues with too much rain over there. This tornado warning continues in the Huntland area until 11 o'clock, so that's 15 more minutes. They may expire that early because, as I mentioned earlier, this was a spin-up tornado, and usually on that bookend vortex, they don't last too long, but I think we had at least some tree damage. Hopefully that was the extent of it with that storm as it moved off to the northeast. And here's the latest image from there. Still not, well, there's a little bit of circulation, but it's far into the warning here. It's, I don't know if I'll show it to you here. If you're west of Hunt, this is south of Highway. I keep having problems with the pencil. It's just south of Highway 64, but the lightning's kind of removed up here to the north. So overall, it's all clear here in northern Madison County for any possible tornado. That's gone, but I can't rule out a weak, brief spin-up tornado with this. Let's put that into motion. You'll be able to see this develop right there, and then what's left of it is across the state line. I'm going to let that go again, and some of you can see that as well. So northeast of Hazel Green, tornado, on the ground, probably 5 miles maybe, and moving northeast towards Huntland where it's starting to weaken a bit. But going to have to watch that. Again, that's that high wind shear. Given the right environment, brief, quick spin up. This is towards Aurora right now, but shear rate pretty low. So this kind of tells the story here as we take a look at the shear rate product. This is really good for just focusing in on, hey, where's the tornado? So we'll put that into motion, and you'll see this develop northeast of Hazel Green. Turn red, there it is. 3 scans, roughly 10 minutes or less, and now it's pretty much very weak. Still could see some isolated damaging wind here with this up here to the north. But we've got this on. Let's take a look. Just gusty winds moving into Gurley through the Paint Rock Valley. Sometimes these get channeled as you go through the Paint Rock Valley. As we switch over to the next rat over here in Mississippi, very heavy rain back into Cortland. And you know, Margo, you wanted me to start clearing everybody. And the problem is when you start clearing people and you say, hey, this is why you need a NOAA weather radio. You need a way to get weather warnings when you're in the middle of the night, because there's never any amount of complete certainty sometimes until the watch gets canceled out. But I will tell you, the environment is less likely to produce severe weather. Grabbing the pencil. Someone's going to send me a pencil in the mail. Here's what's going to get from Pulaski to Florence and back here. This is becoming rain cooled in a hurry. And they did cancel. Did they cancel the watch in Mississippi? That was set to expire.
They're starting to drop counties currently in Arkansas, but
they must have reissued another watch in Mississippi then.
Yeah, no communication based on the watch in Mississippi. I will say, as far as we're talking about clearing counties and things of that nature, no, the rain is still going to be a big issue. We're actually getting some reports right now from some emergency managers that people are currently trapped in vehicles due to flooding. This is going to be at the intersection of University Drive and Amphitheater Drive. Again, I don't recommend getting out at all in your vehicle, even if you're not under a current severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. We are all still under a tornado watch. Just because you're not under a warning doesn't mean there's not a hazard out there. This is going to become a big rain event. I know people have been saying, we know it's going to rain a lot, but we're talking possibly 2 to 3 inches of rainfall rates an hour. Again, we do have a confirmation that people are trapped in their vehicles because there's so much water on the roads. So just because you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning especially, please do not get out and about tonight. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of issues with the early morning commute tomorrow. We've been saying that over and over and over and over. But again, this is starting to trend more into a flash flood and flooding threat altogether. You might hear your NOAA weather radios going off right now. Most of those are going to be for flash flood warnings, aerial flood watch, things of that nature. Don't let it alarm you. Of course, we can't completely clear everybody at the moment. Brad will let you know whenever we are going to clear areas, but mainly our northwest areas right now, those are the areas that we can say, hey, it's starting to look more like a rain event. But pretty soon here, all of this is just going to be heavy pounding rain as we head into tomorrow morning. So please, again, just stay at home. I do not recommend getting out and about in your vehicle, even if you are not under a tornado threat.
Very well said there, Chelsea. Where was the flooding? Was that in Huntsville or?
Yes, the intersection of University Drive and Amphitheater Drive. I believe that's off Research Park Boulevard, I want to say.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Again, there are other situations you need to think about.
And then another flooding report, Woodmont Drive and Tremont Drive in Tuscumbia, 2 to 3 inches of water over a roadway. And again, we've been getting those reports from Northwest Alabama all this evening, but they're starting to come in for the Madison County area, even including the Huntsville area, Brad.
Yeah, I had to take a sip of water there. One other thing to consider is there's so much construction in some areas, especially in the Huntsville metro area, that the water is going to channel a little different around some of those construction sites. It may be forced in other places. Some drains could get clogged, things like that. With some of these, the wind blowing around, some of those construction fences can get moved and blocked. So again, just because your area doesn't flood normally, just be mindful, especially if you got to get out late tonight or early tomorrow morning, because some areas that normally don't flood. For instance, the last severe weather event we had, I-65 was shut down there in Coleman because the water channeled onto the interstate. People had to take the off ramp to get off and then get back on. So it wasn't a huge deal as far as the interstate goes, but places that you don't normally think flood, oh, they could flood out there tonight, especially given the amount of rain we've had so far this month. Well, it's actually March coming in like a lion. We mentioned that. Let's take a look at Moulton here. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. We're going to switch to the velocity here. The lightning's picking up, but really what we'll watch for, first, we kind of zero in on where the lightning's the most intense, because that's where we're likely having the strongest updraft and most likely the area of concern. So turn that lightning off. That's the lightning, 111 lightning strikes. And boy, at night, in the middle of the night, when you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, that lightning is even more intense. But we don't have a tornado right now with this. We've got strong gusty winds, storm relative velocity down here. As you see, the severe thunderstorm warning expires at 11 o'clock, so in 9 minutes. And I got a feeling this will probably be continued farther to the east, just the way this line looks. What we'll look along the line here, we'll look for those little notches that develop along that boundary. And overall, and again, we'll have to watch for that. Let's put this into motion. Have to watch for that bookend vortex, right? I talked about it several times in the past, and whenever you see it, it's very well pronounced and it shows up. So we've got wind coming in on the backside of this storm, but also notice the boundary that as these storms, they produce that downdraft, and you can see it here in the radar imagery. Strong winds coming in from the south, and this is just feeding the heavy rain, unfortunately, moving up towards Cherokee and west of Tuscumbia. So more heavy rain, and that's the thing, is these boundaries, the rain's falling straight down and it's going straight north, and the atmosphere is so juicy out there tonight, so much humidity in it, that this is triggering new thunderstorms on the north side of the boundary, which are producing heavy rain. Let's see about the lightning with those. A little bit of lightning going on too. Margot, do you got something?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with Don Webster with Hemsey, who just told me that, Chelsea, you were correct. They are responding to a car submerged. This is in the Mid-City development off of University Drive. And then also there's a car submerged on Washington Street. This is downtown. Paramedics are having to respond. So that flash flood warning, heed that. Chelsea just told you, get off the road if you can. This rain is not ending anytime soon, and we don't want you trapped in it. This is now becoming a rain situation. I know, Brad, you're still monitoring a lot of that wind as well, but you know, we need you to stay safe. There are also those power outages that I keep telling you about. Power is going out all over the place because this rain is just so heavy, and lightning is causing an issue as well. So just monitoring things as they come in. Water submerging cars at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't see it at night either. Especially what happens is the lights on your car, the light gets scattered out and you don't always see. And then especially out in the country, you got those low water bridges. They're not low water bridges anymore. They might be covered up. So be very careful of that. If you cannot see where do not turn around, don't drown. Yeah, that's exactly it. Because you don't know how long that water has been across the road. Floodwaters are muddy. You don't know if the road's there. Most of the time, the water is collecting where you have this culvert or you have a pipe that goes under the road. And when the water is raging, it washes that pipe first, all the dirt around the pipe, and then the road washes out. And then it's just brown across, but you can't tell that at night. But again, that's another reason. You need to turn around. No matter how important you think it is to get to where you're wanting to go, if it's covered with water, you don't want anything to do with that. So overall, that's becoming a bigger threat here as we go through the overnight hours. And thank you for getting that report from Don Webster, Margot. Again, a couple of water rescues going on, probably cars that have just gone in. And you mentioned some of those areas, and we've got a lot of construction in those areas as well. So again, something to consider with new development in the area. And again, the more concrete you have, the more that water is going to flow faster. and it's going to channel into other areas. So that is also can be the case on some of these other tributaries, these streams. Mill Creek, for example, that can rise rapidly. And you also have that along the Paint Rock River and then the Flint River. That comes later. That'll probably come overnight tonight. So let's get back here. Speaking of Flint and Paint Rock, let's go over towards Brownsboro. Switch the radar source first to the closer radar. And as we take a look at this, we got to watch this close here. Take a look. As this moves, we're starting to get this wind shear working on this storm. So Skyline, Pleasant Groves, we're watching this closely. Notice the lightning jumping out. So we're starting to see another situation where we may start to get rotation with the storm. So I'll turn this lightning off. Actually, those are the warnings. And turn the velocity on. What we're going to watch is, it's showing up here just to this is going to be along County Road 10, northwest of Trenton. So let me draw here with the ruler. So it's going to be southwest of Princeton by about 6 miles. And as we get northwest of Trenton by 4 miles. So this is all northwest of Pleasant Groves, and it doesn't look like much right now, and they usually don't look like much until they start to turn. So storm relative velocity, fairly weak, but the radar signature, this is where it all kind of starts. You see this notch here that starts developing. It's along County Road 10, and as that notch gets farther north and east, that is where we start to get some turning. There's a lot of shear. So Holly Tree heads up along Highway 65 as well down to Trenton. We're going to have to keep a close eye on this area here, and it's this kind of notch that may be forming. I want to stress that. So what would be the case here is you get wind coming in here, and then it kind of wraps around here. So these are things we watch for spin-up tornadoes. This most likely wouldn't be a supercell. However, given the amount of lightning we have with this storm, we talked about embedded supercells within the line. And this is really close to the radar, so we'll get a pretty good view here as this approaches Skyline. So let's go ahead and this is going to be an extended storm track here for the storm moving into Princeton. Also notice how the lightning is way ahead of the main line. And this is moving about 41 miles an hour. So this is going to be Skyline around 11:09, and it's 3 minutes before 11 right now. So we're talking 12 minutes. Heads up here. The storm could intensify. The lightning's definitely picking up here. Stevenson around 11:28. Shiloh around 11:54. Right now we've just got severe thunderstorm warnings out, but the environment's still favorable that we could see tornadoes develop within the line. So we're going to stay in continuous coverage. Besides, it's what time is it? It's almost 11 o'clock, so we're just covering up Jimmy Fallon, I guess. We're going to continue with this because we know this is your moment that you probably need us the most when it comes to severe weather safety for you and your family. As we mentioned, still more heavy rain from Athens down to Moulton, more intense lightning, and I'm kind of surprised there's no severe thunderstorm warnings down here for the Double Springs area, as that lightning has kind of been a precursor to the severe thunderstorms today. Up here towards Winchester, still very heavy rain. Notice we continue to watch closely the storm moving towards Skyline. That's probably the most intense storm right now in our viewing area. Up here just to the north, we'll check on you in Huntland. We don't see anything. There's no circulation there, and in fact, I think they should let that. They probably will just let that severe thunderstorm warning go. So right now, the storm of the moment is in Jackson County, and this is going to be northeast of Scottsboro by several miles, and it's not going to impact Scottsboro. At least this storm won't. In fact, this is right about 15 miles as the crow flies northwest of Scottsboro, and it is going to track more towards Stevenson over time. And it's the back edge here. The reason it looks like this is because there's so much wind shear out there, and the fact that we've got so much lightning. It may be a surface-based thunderstorm, and what we mean by surface-based is it's going to feed in on all this instability. When you get elevated storms, they're above the ground. They typically don't produce tornadoes, so we typically don't have tornado watches for those. Storm relative velocity again on that storm shows it's got two areas here. It's kind of got an area back here to the southwest of Princeton, east of Maysville. I don't see much of a severe weather threat there in Maysville. Let me update you because there is a severe thunderstorm warning here on the east side of Huntsville that continues and I believe that initial one is set to expire here at 11 o'clock. So that one's going to be dropped. However, this new one, both of them were dropped. How about that? So overall, we're still looking at strong gusty winds in the Pleasant Groves area. This is pretty hilly terrain, so the wind really gets funneled up and down through here, and we can feed into those downbursts. So very electrical storm there, southeast of Princeton. And as we expand the view, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings left. Looks like they have all expired. So have they started dropping? Let me make sure we've got them on. Yeah, we've got them on. So again, we have no active warnings right now. We're going to stay with this storm just a little bit longer, and then we're going to get you back to your regular scheduled programming here right at 11 o'clock. There's a new warning that just came out, probably a flash flood warning.
It's actually a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Jackson County.
Yeah.
As that line continues to move to the east. That S-shape feature is what we're really watching. And you notice the lightning strike is still very high in that area, so we want to monitor that closely. Again, no circulation as of right now, but Brad just showed you in the New Market area that it can happen in an instant. We're talking 1 to 3 to possibly even a 5-minute spin up. And I will say areas to the west, because a lot of people asking if you can go to bed. Areas to the west right now, really just dealing with very heavy rainfall. We were talking about parts of the watches being trimmed back. I will say northwest Mississippi, some of those counties starting to trim back, but northeast Mississippi, the tornado watch still continues. This includes Calhoun, Chickasaw. If you're familiar with the Mississippi area, this is going to be our northeastern county. So we still are watching closely, but as far as our northwestern counties go, I really believe it is just a heavy rain threat. What we want to watch is that new severe thunderstorm warning that has been extended downstream. No tornado possible tag on this warning. Again, right now, some gusty winds, also very heavy rainfall at times, and frequent lightning. And we want to continue to watch the inflow of this, as this could possibly mean that it's trying to wrap up a bit. That's where it gets its S shape, the center of that S curve. Right now, we do not have any circulation. If it is circulation, it's rather broad, but of course, we'll keep a close eye on it. Back to you, Brad.
Okay, yeah, I'm just getting a message here just as 11 o'clock. Says the Bristol Ridge subdivision in New Market was hit. So short track drive, she says. I'm not sure
You said Bristol Ridge?
She says Bristol Ridge subdivision in New Market. I believe it's short track drive.
We do have a crew on the way heading to that Buddy Williamson Road area just to get you some ground confirmation on what we see out there. He's minutes away.
Okay,
So
she just sent me some pictures. So if somebody can go into my messages on my Facebook page, they can get those. It looks like, oh yeah, we've got a garage door. We've got a car flipped on its side. Looks like a truck. And then garage doors banged in. Looks like insulation's blown around. Insulation in the, again, if you saw my report out of Lake Tahoe, we were talking about how susceptible the garage doors are, because the wind knocks the garage door out and then the wind has nowhere to go. So again, I'm looking at these pictures and we've got damage as a garage has there's some thunder there. Again, you're going to hear the thunder roll because the acoustics are going to be such that it's going to continue to rumble out there as we have what's called an inversion behind all this. And you're going to hear that throughout the night, kind of like your sound machine. What you got, Chelsea?
And Brad, I want to give you some good news of the night. A lot of people asking when they can go to bed. The tornado watch has been canceled for Colbert, Franklin, also Lauderdale counties. I just mentioned our northwest counties. It is a rainmaker right now. That means the flooding threat's still there. I don't recommend going out of your house, but I recommend going to bed if you want to go to sleep. Again, the tornado watch has been canceled for both Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale County, all three counties. However, tornado watch is still in effect for Coleman, DeKalb, Jackson, Lawrence, Limestone, Madison, Marshall, Morgan, Franklin, Lincoln, and more counties, Alabama and Tennessee, till 2 o'clock in the morning. So areas to the east, you're not in the clear yet. Areas to the west, again, Colbert, Franklin, and Lauderdale counties, you can go to bed, but still do not recommend getting out and about. And Brad, I'm going to go to your messages and go ahead and send those.
You can just relay that to the Weather Service office.
Will do.
Viewers to see, but we do have a crew on the way to that short track drive area for that Bristol Ridge subdivision, trying to get you ground confirmation, Brad.
Yeah, again, I saw the pictures coming out of there. Again, high wind at the very least, could be inflow into that tornado that developed and that bow echo. Because sometimes when you get that bow echo going, you get, in addition to that tornado that develops on the northern flank of it, you get strong straight line winds coming through. Let's take a trip down here into Jackson County. Again, as Chelsea mentioned, areas out. How many counties cleared?
3, Colbert, Franklin, and Lauderdale.
Colbert, Franklin, Lauderdale County. The threat of severe weather's over. You're still going to hear rumbles of thunder. There's still lightning out here. There's still heavy rain, and you still need to monitor the flooding threat if you live in a flood zone area. And this is the reason, specifically on nights like tonight, there's so much energy in the air, there's so much water that we end up with flash flood warnings, but at the same time we can still see severe thunderstorm warnings in some areas. And what happens is people turn their weather radios off. But there are weather radios you can say, I only want severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and it's for that reason, to keep people from turning them off. But overall, what we're watching is one single thunderstorm over here that's severe, south of High Top, north of Scottsboro, and it is rocking through the mountains over here. A lot of rumbles going on. Take another look at the velocity. The good news is it's not starting to wrap around. So we're mainly dealing with the potential for straight line winds. Let's take a look at the hail. The thing about the hail threat is it may not show up as well because we're pretty close to the radar site. And there's not much there, but there could be some pea-sized hail within this thunderstorm. So as we go back and take a look just at the radar data, I'm going to storm track this once again. And eventually the southern edge of this is going to make it on the north side of Scottsboro towards Hollywood. But here is the storm track. I'm just going to do this whole thing. The kink in that line is mainly due to the high wind shear. The instability is fairly low, so that's some good news there. Skyline 11:15. About 7 minutes from now. Stevenson, 11:35, strong to severe storms, a lot of lightning. The lightning's going to pick up, and then the rain's going to pick up within that thunderstorm there. But overall, we don't have any signs of a tornado forming as of right now. But anytime you get the line that's kind of kinked like this, you want to keep checking the velocity every other scan or so. And so that's what we're doing here. Shear rate, there's not much there either. So overall, well, I say that. Let's take it. And sometimes, again, you have to look closely because there's the user error on this product as well. Not every time you see the red does that indicate severe weather. However, we do have some rotation back here. This is on the northern side of the storm. So let's see what it looks like radar-wise. Reflectivity, it's kind of in the middle here. So it's possible we've got an updraft going on in this storm and the radar thinks it's circulation. So basically what's happening is right at my finger, the air is going straight up and it's spreading out, and that way it's called storm top divergence. Hopefully that's the case. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that, but it's kind of in the wrong place for a tornado unless, let's put this into motion, unless we're getting another one of those bookend vortexes in that area. So as we go through time here, we're going to watch the northern, yeah, we'll have to watch it again, because they're sneaky. Just like you saw, we captured that tornado probably right before it touched down northeast of Hazel Green, northwest of Newmarket. So we're going to watch this area here for the same reasons. So again, your eye kind of wants to watch the area where all the lightning is, but you can also get the circulation developing behind it. So let's stop that. Take a look at that velocity. I'm going to loop the velocity too, because that's always pretty good to look at as well. Very intense lightning. Here's a little bit of that circulation. So we'll watch that. And again, having said that, usually that would be more of a downburst instead of storm top divergence because you don't see that until you're far away from the radar. So I probably misspoke on that. But storm relative velocity is picking up in that area. Let's stop this here. And this is going to be east of Princeton. And this is really close to the radar too. So this kind of wind is probably pretty close to what's really happening. So we're getting some 50-mile-per-hour winds here. This is County Road 138, and just to the west of there, this is going to be along Highway 65 and 27. Again, in this mountainous area, you've got these roads kind of intersecting all over the place. And that's why it's such a challenge up here, especially for school systems when we get snow, and we talk about that, because you're going from one extreme to the other, and some of the roads are, of course, a lot less traveled. But that area I was watching, it went away. So we like to see that. So again, right now, I don't think we're seeing the same thing that happened earlier, but we'll continue to watch this storm. As we go farther to the west, no warnings in effect, but Hazel Green getting hit hard again with heavy rain. We're looking at velocity. We just don't see anything out here at all that's causing concern. Let's go back here to the west. Again, it's late at night, covering up programming. I just want to know, what time does I guess we don't have a 10 o'clock news. So what's going to happen is we need to consider something for when we do a rebroadcast of our program, because I don't. Okay, so just a heads up, we're going to rebroadcast nightly news, because usually we rebroadcast at some point, I think it's around midnight, our 10 o'clock show, and we don't want to rebroadcast the tornado warnings. All right, 12:30 that comes out. Good. Just want to make that clear, because I don't want you guys waking up at 12:30 thinking we've got more storms coming through. So let's switch over to Columbus Air Force Base, and we still have strong storms, nothing severe, very heavy rain, probably outflow dominated, we call it. So overall, the threat of severe weather is probably over as you go Harvest, Monrovia, Moulton, down to Hamilton, and to the west. The reason they're not going to drop the Limestone County watch is because you still have active storms here in the southeast part of the county, and of course Lawrence County, the same thing there as you go down just south of Moulton. So overall, the watch goes until 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't see the threat for severe weather lasting that long. Things are kind of on schedule here. We're at 11:15, and we initially said the threat of severe weather would be over by midnight, roughly from Huntsville, Priceville areas to the northwest. And I think that has happened. And then we had the other area roughly, I think it was 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, and then 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning. So the timing has been fairly accurate here on the storm system. I know we waited a while for everything to develop this afternoon, and at some point in time we thought maybe it wouldn't happen at all, but sure enough, the cap broke in that 3 or 4 hour window where the weather really got intense, and then it shut off. But of course we had that pop-up tornado that touched down. We had the debris signature with it as well. Northeast of Hazel Green out towards Newmarket. Again, crews on the scene, headed to the scene, trying to see just how much damage. Does the Weather Service have any other reports out of that area, Chelsea?
No other reports out of that area. Again, the only area that we have those reports for Newmarket were actually the pictures that you just showed me. I did relay those to the National Weather Service, trying to get them around the newsroom. But other than that, no more damage reports that we've received from the National Weather Service. I will say the majority of the reports from the National Weather Service, they're all flooding reports. And of course, again, we just told you about the people being trapped in their cars because there's so much water on the roadways. This means do not go out and about. We're continuing to see that severe threat trend downwards, or essentially we're seeing that instability go away, which is good news, but the rain is not going to be going anywhere. It's going to continue as we head into tomorrow. So a lot of issues for that early morning commute tomorrow. Again, we only have one severe thunderstorm warning as of right now. Some counties have been completely trimmed out of the tornado watch box, but a lot of counties still in that tornado watch. So just make sure you don't let your guard down. Have those multiple ways to receive watches and warnings. That includes our app. You can get a NOAA weather radio. Some people were asking, you know, what kind do I get? Brad talks about it all the time. The Midland NOAA weather radio. Those are always the best. Of course, we will keep you updated and send out those damage reports as we get them. If you've had any damage in your area, please send those photos to us. Give us detail. The more that you send us that information, the more that we can spread it out and let people know, hey, avoid this area. There's a tree blocking the roadway, etc. Again, we only have that one severe thunderstorm warning as of right now. No tornado warning in the area. Of course, we'll keep you updated as things continue to change, Brad.
All right, thanks a lot, Chelsea. Again, flooding really becoming an issue. Looking at the velocity here, again, this is where we look at the wind. Still a lot of lightning, but the lightning is down a little bit from what it was earlier. You get north of Scottsboro, I don't really see them reissuing a warning unless this intensifies some. And let's take a look at when this warning expires. It's going to expire here at 11:30, so that's 15 minutes from now. The back edge of this, as you get west, I don't think there's much concern at all in this. They're probably going to have an update here pretty soon, and you'll probably see this warning trend back, and you'll just see this part here towards Stevenson. And Scottsboro, you are not under the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's take a closer look. It's right over the radar site, and again, you get kind of, as you get over the radar site, sometimes they call it the cone of silence, or we call it that. But overall, we don't see any signs of tornado development here. The lightning's kind of back over the main part of the storm, where at initial it was chasing the lightning, so to speak. So we'll reset the view here. Still very heavy rain, some gusty winds, a lot of lightning. For some of you, again, west of Athens, this is probably just good sleeping weather out there, as the heavy rain will continue. And if you don't live in a flood-prone area, you're probably going to be okay from this. But as I mentioned, some of the areas that you may see flooding where you're not used to seeing flooding is those big construction areas where there's a lot more concrete and there's barriers out there. So again, those are just some issues, some growing pains in some of these areas, and we've seen a lot of that recently. And if you live along a creek as well, like Indian Creek, there's so much more construction. You've got Providence, they've been building and building, and that concrete is going to funnel that water faster into those areas. More water is going to drain. So, you know, in the concrete jungles, that water goes somewhere into the sewer, and there's more of it. It doesn't absorb into the ground as much. So again, that just comes with the territory of a growing community. So here's what we're looking at: Capshaw, Greenbrier, lightning, thunder. It's noisy. Your dog may have the thunder shirt on tonight, may be nervous out there looking out the window, barking every time you see the lightning. I had an English bulldog that did that as well, so you're just gonna have to bear with it for the rest of the night. Overall, as we get down here towards Double Springs, we still have some heavy rain southeast of there, a lot of lightning. I kind of want to emphasize what we're expecting tomorrow. Now, because some of you are up here late, you actually want a forecast. And what we're going to deal with in the morning commute is probably a refiring of showers and storms. They won't be severe, and we probably won't have any severe threat until the earliest, say, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And as we go beyond that, it's really, it's a complicated setup tomorrow, and it's all really due to what's happening tonight, because all this rain-cooled air is going to drop to the south. And then as the big storm system develops, that's where we're going to start to see the higher wind threat Friday. Friday, we're really concerned about widespread winds at least 50 miles per hour, maybe 60 miles per hour. There's also a slight embedded tornado threat with that too. I haven't looked at the model guidance tonight, but it's fairly consistent. I think we're going to see what's called a high wind warning, and that'll be issued by the National Weather Service if the trend continues. And what that means is we have a large area, the entire area will likely see winds of 45 to 55 miles per hour. And there may be some peak winds at 65 miles per hour. And we may see 50 to 60 mile an hour winds when it's not even raining behind that initial line. So it's really imperative that you pay attention to that developing as we go through the morning hours. So we're talking probably 6 a.m. in the Shoals, 8 a.m. in the Huntsville metro area, Athens along I-65, and then roughly 10 a.m. in northeast Alabama. And as we get to the higher elevations, the winds may be higher because the forecast guidance at 4,000 feet has winds around 90 miles per hour. So it is potentially the most significant high wind event some of you have seen. And it kind of reminds me of one we had, I think it was back in May, probably 20 years ago, when we had widespread power outages, power poles down, and trees down. And as much rain as we've had, these trees, it's not going to take much wind, especially with the early blooming out there on the trees. We're likely going to see a lot of trees down as we go through, and power outages as we go through the day on Friday. And if it's really significant, you may be without power for a few days. So think about that as you plan for Friday. We're going to continue with the first alert, 48 first alert weather day for tomorrow, but we're a lot more concerned with the high wind event coming Friday. Tomorrow evening, I would say 7, 8, 9 o'clock, the boundary is going to rapidly move to the north, and that could lead to a brief round of severe storms along what we call the warm front, and we'll have to watch that for a tornado threat as well. But for right now, we continue to monitor these storms. In fact, what's happening here, as I just kind of glance at this, we've got one line of storms moving a little bit faster and is about ready to connect with the other line. So eventually, all of this line is going to be moving through. So let me put a storm track. I know I haven't talked much about Marshall County or DeKalb County. Believe me, when I don't talk about your county, it's good news. I'm going to put this at 60, 70 miles per hour, just to give you kind of a heads up to let you know we're keeping an eye on you. As we go forward here, we're talking Falkville, 11:30, Princeton at 11:32. You've got rain there now, but this is the probably what may become the end of the threat of severe weather. Gurley around 11, I'll call it 11:40 or so, Jones Chapel. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put another storm track on this, just so we kind of get all the little places in Huntsville kind of out of this, and we talk a little bit more towards Fort Payne. Again, that's 79 miles an hour. I'm going to adjust the times for that. So Morgan City, probably around 11:45. New Hope, 11:45. Pleasant Groves, again, around 11:45, 11:50. Not that it's going to let up in Pleasant Groves. You've got a good hour and a half of rain there. Scottsboro, I would say midnight. Again, I'm kind of cheating the time there because it's not moving at 79 miles per hour. So overall, that's kind of your heads up. And I don't think we're looking at the Sand Mountain Magic overnight tonight. Of course, we'll continue to monitor that just because of the setup here that we're dealing with. The instability's kind of dropping, and we're kind of turning into more of a heavy rain event. Chelsea, Weather Service have any other reports coming in besides the flooding? Do we have any more flooding reports?
We are getting a few more flooding reports, but some wind damage reports. This one out of Limestone County. Essentially, wind damage signs were blown down along with other debris in the area. This corresponds to some of the intense circulation that we were seeing essentially with that tornado warned storm in portions of Limestone County. And then let's see what other reports we have. Getting a lot of wind reports as of right now, which we knew it would take some time to get those. This also from Limestone County, reports of a wind gust as high as 59 miles per hour. I would not be surprised to get some reports that are even higher than that as well. Other than that, Brad, I do not have any more reports. Small power outages near Skyline, Alabama. This is near County Road 307. Probably a lot of power outages out there. Power outage in Killen as well. I know when we first started the live a couple of hours ago, there were over 800 people without power in the Killen area. A few outages in Florence. Margot told you about some other power outages. Of course, we'll keep you updated, but the main threat right now is going to be that flooding threat.
Okay, here's what I want you guys to do back in the back is route up just radar. And then Chelsea, I want you to kind of put together a forecast over there so we can kind of summarize what's going to happen. I know I went through and I talked about it, but sometimes visually seeing the graphics, and I would just go as far as all the way to the 10-day forecast. I'd use that. I think you could probably use the show I've got loaded in there as well.
Okay.
So as we switch over to radar, that way she can control what's in Max 1. As we're watching this, more heavy rain, more thunderstorms coming in as we get here from Athens to the east. The threat of severe weather tonight is over in Athens, it's over in Decatur, it is over in Moulton and areas to the north and west of that. It continues somewhat. It's really conditional based on what happens with the winds as they interact with the terrain, but I don't see the chance for any big surprises here as we go through the rest of the night, although we'll continue to watch this area here near Stevenson. So let me go ahead and reset the view here as we take a closer look here into Stevenson. So just north of Stevenson, it's got that look to it, so we'll have to watch that real closely here. Close to of course, it's moving away from the radar, so we're going to get a little bit more data here. But still really intense thunderstorm here. Let me shut off the loop here, and then we'll get in and show the velocity. Yeah, this is basically a wind shift line. As I grabbed the pencil correctly that time, Notice down here what's happening. This is where the wind's kind of coming out of the northwest, and this wind here is pretty much southwest. So this is not rotation, but it's worth looking at here as we start to see a little bit more of that. Notice how that's kind of bulging out a little bit more. So it's likely we may have a big downburst going on here, and that's where the rain is just falling. So strong gusty winds possible with this part of the storm. So I think if we're going to have some damaging wind, it may be happening as we speak. Shear rate's probably going to be a little off with this. Yeah, again, this is that user error. Watch out for that. Just is mainly picking up strong gusty winds from this storm as it tracks to the east and southeast. The lightning starting to come down, but still the possibility here of some damaging winds as this moves to the east and just southeast of Stevenson. And just let me know whenever you got that stuff ready, and I'll just let you roll with it. Okay, gotcha. So let's put this track here and move this east. It's going to be moving a little faster than this though, so I'll increase the time. So probably we've got 11:25 now, so I'd say 11:35. Stevenson, Shiloh around 12:10, 12:15, but that's where that storm is moving. And the severe thunderstorm warning set to expire, I believe, in 4 minutes. So at 11:30, that severe thunderstorm warning is set to expire. We're going to continue here in coverage. Our reporter has just got on the scene here near Newmarket, and we're going to hope to get that report here of what's going on. But there is still rain, heavy rain and gusty winds up here in and around Newmarket. So again, if there has been damage northeast of Hazel Green, and we're kind of pinpointing it basically right in this area here. The tornado, probably the confirmed tornado on radar touched down northeast of Hazel Green. That was several minutes ago. The tornado watch through, actually that was 10 o'clock. If you want to change the time on that, Chelsea, up there in the Wizard, I think that was what, 2 a.m.?
Yes.
But again, Newmarket, more heavy rain. I don't think you're going to see severe weather from this, maybe wind gusts, and of course you could see lightning strikes there. Wind gusts maybe 40 miles per hour. A mess right now on 565, and 565 is kind of a mess anymore. Actually, they did the second resurfacing, and it actually helped a lot. I used to take that every day, and there was just like puddles sitting on 565, but I think it has improved, but you got to slow down. You can't just go 65, 70 in the rain. Probably.
Weather, several roads in the city are becoming impassable. Please use caution due to flash flooding. Now, they didn't identify what roads they're talking about, but several roads in the city now becoming a major hazard because of all the rain that we are getting at this point. So if you can, just stay off the road at this point, because we have first responders trying to even go to folks that have their cars submerged. So we are trying to make sure that all of you know how dangerous this is becoming when it comes to the flash flooding issue.
Yeah, I mean, when we go back, we had that Aldridge Creek flooding issue. We had California, I think it was Californian governors started flooding there. And as we get in with the radar, some of the most intense rainfall is returning into the Huntsville metro area. So as we get in closer here, we've already had issues in the downtown area, and you get down to Church, they've kind of redesigned the whole Church Avenue area as well, and Pinhook Creek probably up. I don't think it's overflowing, but again, problems where you normally may not have them developing in the city of Huntsville. And I would imagine most of those are probably in the hospital district of downtown Huntsville. That's where we get a lot of this rain that comes down from Montesano and Green Mountain in these areas as well. So keeping an eye on that. Out in the city of Madison, we've probably got some issues going on Mill Creek. And then the Bradford Creek area, I know a lot of times that gets close to the road there on Mill Road as well. So
Daquan is on the scene at this point. If we can pull up that live shot and then tell me where he is so we can go out to him. Daquan, tell me where you are at this point.
So this is the area, Margot, if you can hear me, where Brad has been pointing out for the past 30 minutes or so, where that radar-conformed tornado has hit. You can see it behind me due to the flashes of police lights. This entire home, the roof, has been taken off, clean off. We don't know just yet if it's that same tornado that Brad had confirmed via the radar, but signs indicate the damage is there. You can even see right to my left, you can see that basketball goal that has been knocked over. Police told me as I arrived on scene that there has been a car flipped over just a couple houses down. The damage has really been tremendous. And God, I really don't know. I haven't been able to talk to anybody about any damages, but from what I've gathered to this point, there have not been any injuries to this point. I will continue to bring you more updates as we continue to learn more, but police are getting ready to move me out of the area to survey all the damage. But I'm going to step aside one more time so you can see. In fact, I'm going to get behind the camera and kind of show you what I'm looking at here. This home has been completely
what street
disheveled.
did he say he was on? Was that Short Track? Are you on Short Track?
Yes, correct. That is Short Track Road.
Okay. So this is in that Bristol Ridge subdivision where we have had reports. You see first responders on the scene, police blocking off that street, moving our reporter out of the area. I can see in the distance the garage blown in, pieces of the roof blown off, and he's trying to zoom in for us there, just so we know. And Brad, I want to tell you, several people on social media thanking you for that 10-minute heads up in Newmarket when it came to that tornado on the ground, where the National Weather Service didn't even call it out. 10 minutes heads up that he gave you.
That's 26 years experience. You're welcome. And yeah, here's the garage door failure that led to roof failure with that. So if that would have been a stronger door, the roof may not have failed as badly. But again, car was flipped, so we're probably looking at maybe 100 mile an hour
Guys, I'm being moved away from the shot, so I'm going to have to kill the feed, unfortunately.
No worries.
I'm being moved to a safer area so that first responders...
Yeah, it looks like the power is out in that area.
Just wanted to give you the heads up.
Thanks for getting out there, Daquan. Be safe. Still a lot of heavy rain, but that severe weather threat's pretty much over. Let's quickly run down the radar, and then we'll get over to Chelsea. She's actually going to give you a forecast, because this isn't the only event. We've got a first alert weather day tomorrow, a 48 first alert weather day for Friday, so she's going to kind of summarize what we expect. I don't expect a repeat tomorrow of what we have out here tonight. It's kind of going to go in reverse order. Overnight tomorrow night is probably going to be pretty quiet, and she'll have the latest. So we continue with higher winds here west of Stevenson. The severe thunderstorm warning was dropped 2 minutes ago. Right now, I don't anticipate them reissuing. As you get here from Newmarket, again, Daquan's out here in this area. A lot of lightning still going on, but if you can still get our broadcast up here and around Newmarket, what we're seeing is just rain. I think your threat of severe weather is over once this area gets to the east, and it's really not that bad. As we get down here to the south, I want to take a look at the velocity, see what's going on here just to the southeast there of Triana. I don't think there's much there. I think it's just heavy rain and gusty winds. So we've got basically what you call a wind shift line. Again, this is south of Huntsville down towards Hartselle. Priceville, I think your threat of severe weather is over. Decatur, Trinity, over. Huntsville on the west side. Again, I got to emphasize, because Huntsville's getting so large now. West side of Huntsville, Madison, looks like your threat of severe weather is over. Let's go to meteorologist Chelsea Aaron. She's going to kind of summarize what you can expect to see as we go down the road.
Yeah, Brad, we've been talking about it all night long, but essentially after that severe threat ends, we're looking at a very heavy rainfall event, and that's going to lead to a lot of flash flooding issues. Multiple of the reports that I have just received, they're from people being trapped in cars. So just because really that severe threat has winded down, that doesn't mean you should be out and about. If we can go ahead and get the people in the back to take Max 1. We said this earlier, that tornado watch has continued to be trimmed back. Areas, this includes Lauderdale, Colbert, also Franklin County. Look, some more are being trimmed back as we speak. Limestone County being trimmed back. Also portions of Lawrence County being trimmed back. All of the areas in red, you are still in that tornado watch, but As Brad just mentioned, most areas not just dealing with some gusty winds at times, also very heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall, that's going to be the main story as we head overnight. Now again, most of us not looking at much in terms of rotation, but we are seeing some gusty winds embedded in this, I would not even call this a line, this broken line of storms. Wind gusts could be as high as possibly 55, 60 miles per hour. These storms will be noisy at times as we head throughout the rest of your evening, but as I mentioned before, the rotational aspect of that storm, we really are losing that. It's just going to be a big rainmaker as we head throughout the rest of your evening and into your early morning commute. Your early morning commute is going to likely be rough. I will say meteorologist Jeff DeNoyer, also morning meteorologist Eric Burke, he will be here in the morning to help you through this nasty commute. I recommend taking it easy. If you do not have to be out and about tomorrow morning, just stay in bed. I really am worried about ponding on the roadways. Most of the flooding reports that we have received tonight, it includes 2 to 3 to even 4 inches of just sitting water on the roads. If you can't see anything through that water, please do not drive through it. You don't know what's going to be under there. We will see this broken line of storms and continue to move and track towards our northeastern counties late this evening, overnight, and into your Thursday. This will become more scattered in nature by your early morning hours on Thursday, but we are looking at multiple more rounds of rain and potentially another strong to severe threat sometime Thursday. Now, the big kicker about Thursday is how the atmosphere essentially is going to respond to that early morning rain. Meaning, is it going to be able to get unstable? Because if we are able to get unstable, get that instability back by our peak heating hours during the afternoon, then we possibly could be tracking that another strong to severe threat. But I will say, I think our best chance at seeing strong to severe storms, even though we never want to see those, is going to be late in the day Thursday, overnight into Friday morning. Friday, that is going to be another big day. That's why we have alert days today all the way through Friday. Friday, we are tracking a high impact wind event. We're talking wind gusts as high as 50, potentially 60 miles per hour. And these are going to be non-thunderstorm related wind gusts as we head late Thursday into Friday. This essentially is as a cold front is moving through, it's going to pack a punch. You can see temperatures in the mid and upper 60s as we head into early Thursday or Friday morning, should I say, but look as the skinny line moves through. This is going to drop those temperatures dramatically. You see Florence 67, in the matter of an hour, they drop down to 56, 10 degrees. So high impact wind event likely early Friday morning into portions of the afternoon. But we're going to clear out quickly Friday afternoon. So even though we have a rough couple of days to still get through, even after today, we're going to be seeing much cooler, drier air and also less winds as we head into the end of your work week, also your weekend. Again, we do have extended 48 first alert weather days for tomorrow, also on Friday. Please do not let your guard down. I know 3 days is a lot to ask of you in terms of staying weather alert, but you saw what happened tonight. We want to make sure everyone stays weather alert, weather aware as we head throughout the rest of the week, because this is far from over. We still have that potential strong to severe threat late tomorrow and definitely that high impact wind event early Friday morning. Cooler, drier air will rush in for your weekend. Saturday and Sunday, hey, it looks a heck of a lot better than we're dealing with right now. Main impacts for Friday is likely going to be wind gusts. We're not necessarily looking at a tornado potential, even though we might see a possible spin-up tornado early Friday, but I think our better chance is seeing that high impact wind event. Look at some of these projected wind speeds. 50 miles per hour in Athens, 50 in Pulaski, and this is at 9:30 in the morning. We will see those winds gusts as high as possibly 60 miles per hour, like I mentioned earlier, all the way into the afternoon on Friday. Winds start calming down late Friday, overnight into Saturday. Saturday looks a whole lot better. More sunshine, a bit cooler, temperatures back in the 60s, not in the 70s. As we head into early next week, I will say we're looking on the drier side, but temperatures warming back up. And Brad already mentioned that cold snap that we are tracking by the middle of the month.
Yeah, I think as we get later down the road, when everybody's trying to do spring break, as it normally is, we'll get colder out there. So again, frost and freeze still a possibility. Quick summary here as we take a look now. We're going to get you back to regularly scheduled program. We're going to check in with Margot here in just a minute on some other flooding issues going on. I believe the Charity Lane area have some issues going on there as well. We just have one last little area near Stevenson that just has a burst of strong gusty winds, and that's it. This is not a tornado threat. We're looking at 46 miles per hour. And the fact this is so close to the radar site, pretty high confidence this is at least 40 miles per hour, about 11 miles away from the radar site. So Stevenson, not really a batten down the hatches kind of night, but strong gusty winds, heavy rain, and it has taken a while to get there. We'll continue to monitor these storms as they move through for the rest of the night, the overnight hours, but once again, really the concern is with the heavy rain and the flash flooding. So overall, the watch has been canceled out west here. I think Limestone was canceled out too, right?
Yes. Limestone was canceled out right as I started. Limestone, also Lawrence County, I believe.
Lawrence County. Let's go to Margot Gray. She can kind of summarize what's been going on flooding wise, and then we'll check in radar one more time, and then we're going to go back to our digital platforms.
Really quickly, I'm just going to focus on Madison County for just a second. The section of 565 westbound lanes here, this is between Rideout and Madison Boulevard. There are left lanes at this point that are totally flooded, and police have that blocked off. So avoid that area if you can. We've gotten reports of damage on Joe Quick out in Newmarket, and that's where I'm going to join. If we can pull him up, Daquan Lee is out there showing us some of the damage along Short Track. What are you saying?
He's not up yet. He's
not up yet? Okay, so he is being moved to a different location where that truck has flipped over on its side, Brad, that you were showing us earlier. This is pretty severe damage out there in Newmarket, so we want to show that to you as soon as he can get that up. But Huntsville police have already said that several roads around town are already flooded, so it's just best to stay off the road at this point. A lot of folks will see that, you know, things in the gutters have clogged things up really at this point. So it can happen that fast with flash flooding. So we just want to make sure you're aware. They haven't given us a list of all the roads yet. I'm still trying to get that for you, but we know for sure that that section on 565 westbound over by Rideout and Madison Boulevard has flooded lanes at this point, Brad.
All right, I have a lot of questions. Again, I'm going to be over here in the First Alert Storm Tracking Center. I'm going to kind of answer some questions as well. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued down there in Coleman County. It does include the city of Coleman, does not include Morgan County, but mainly looking at some strong gusty winds with that. And let me see if I can find the chat room here where they're going to give us a little bit more information on that, kind of look through. But overall, the tornado threat, they've got tornado possible written with that storm. So we are going to stay with that. As long as they've got tornado possible in these warnings, we're going to keep a close eye on that. But car stuck on a flooded bridge at Riverton Road and Winchester Road. Again, just kind of going through some of these reports on my Facebook page. Again, there's still a lot of lightning out there, and that doesn't necessarily mean you still have a threat of severe weather. There's still lightning going on back to the north and west as well. Someone just asked, why is there still a tornado watch for Coleman County? Well, you're still in that environment that's potentially there for spin-up tornadoes, and that's that new warning has gone out for that storm there. In fact, I'm going to put this, zoom in and show you behind me what we've got going on down in Coleman County. Again, they've got tornado possible written on this storm. It's near Addison, moving pretty much due east into the city of Coleman. It's still going to take a little time to get there. Let me put a storm track on this. Okay, I put a storm track on here, and then we're going to get to Daquan. Moving east at about 38 miles an hour. So South Vinemont around 12:01, Coleman 12:07, Baileyton 12:22, Holly Pond around 12:30. Margot, Daquan? We got Daquan up now.
Yeah, Brad. So you mentioned that car, that truck that got overturned. I'm going to step aside here. You can see it, thanks to that flash of lightning, the damage that has been done once again. I'm going to step behind the camera and kind of direct it a little better and make it a little brighter so it's very clear to see just what happened here tonight, folks. The damage is ridiculous. In fact, once I finish this shot that I'm showing you here, I'm going to slowly turn over to my left and kind of guide you through the damage that this neighborhood has sustained. There's still a lot of cleanup ongoing at the moment, but damage has continued throughout the street. You can see the home right there, people already getting to work. You can see the damage on the roof. It's ridiculous the amount of damage that has gone on out here. I mean, you can just see it. The roof is just mangled, folks. Just thankfully no injuries to report at this moment. I talked with some officials and Madison County Sheriff's officers out here. No injuries to speak of to this point, but man, the damage has been tremendous. And again, credit to Brad for being on top of this all night long. I've been listening to him all night as he tries to guide people through this, and you can see the damage here, folks. Please, when we have severe weather alerts, this is why. I'm gonna go back to the original home that I showed you earlier. Just no roof on any of these homes. The damage here is significant.
This is on
Cops
short
actually
track.
allowed me back on this road to kind of show you what all has transpired here over the past hour. And again, this is on Short Track Road in Madison County here. Just remarkable damage. I'm a little overexposed. I'm going to step out of the shot here, but
No, this has been a good
there's
look
really
at
no
it.
words to describe the damage.
This has been a good look at it, and it's just all along this one road on Short Track Drive here where you see, Brad, those dings in the roof for
And
some of the
also
folks.
notice one house doesn't have as much damage. It does have damage, probably shingle damage too, but probably a small tornado track through there. I'd say winds around 90, 100 miles an hour.
And then you see folks out there right now
Was
in
it
the
the
pouring
home
down
that
rain
you're-
trying to get tarps on that roof at this point. Police have blocked off that street to make sure that folks can take care of what they need to. But you see it right there as Daquan zooms in. They're trying to get tarps on that roof at this moment.
Yeah, that's just an awful situation. You're out there, and it's times like this you've got to be very careful up on the roof because, you know, adrenaline is rushing, and these are the times we can have injuries out here. But I understand they're trying to save the rest of what's in their home because water, it is terrible. Water it damages everything. But it looks like the tornado came across this house and then hit the other house and flipped the truck that's in the driveway.
Yeah.
Now, could you zoom down? It looked like a wheel from a trash can that was down in front of one of those mailboxes.
Direct me here.
Go to the right.
In front of the mailboxes?
In front of, actually go zoom back out like you're looking at the truck. And
At the truck, okay.
yeah, zoom down, now zoom out, and then go down by the mailbox where it says 12. Is that the wheels to the cart, the trash can?
I'm sorry, I'm looking from not the viewfinder.
Oh, that's okay. But it's
does
underneath
look like
that
a-
mailbox that says
Okay.
12. It looks like the wheels to a trash can.
Yeah.
Right there to the very right.
Oh, actually, oh yeah, no, yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was overthinking it there.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah.
And
So
I
again,
think the trash can is wedged between that power line right there next to the pole.
I would estimate so. Let's see.
yeah, that's it.
That's it right there.
It's flipped. Oh yeah. Well,
yeah,
no, it's,
that's
it's
it.
part of the wheel from that. All right. Got to be observant, right? But yeah.
Nevertheless.
The good thing about all of this at this point, no injuries. So that's the best thing we could have heard tonight.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you, Daquan, for this look.
All right, we're going to do some radar here. We're going to track this storm down here, moving towards West Point and Coleman. We're going to kind of investigate a little bit more. Maybe some of you watching us from Smith Lake tonight as well. As we get down here closer, we're starting to see kind of the kink in this line. So as this moves across the northern side of Smith Lake, we're possibly seeing some damaging winds with this north of Arley, and then as you get just to the west of Good Hope. So I'm going to actually take a look from Birmingham, the next red Doppler radar, because it may actually be the closest radar. The thing to keep in mind, we're going to be looking pretty much down radial at this storm, so it may look a little bit different here, and of course it does. But overall, Severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, I don't see a tornado in there. I'm going to switch back over to the GWX. I'm going to do this kind of quick here as we take a look again at the velocity. Jones Chapel, again, a lot of lightning with this and strong gusty winds. And this goes east and it's going to get close to Arab, but I just don't see a tornado threat with this storm right now. I'm going to switch to high top because this area of the viewing area down here, and this is technically the Birmingham viewing area, but we kind of spread that viewing area out now that we've gone digital, right? And you can find us just about anywhere. We could probably cover the weather anywhere in the country on our social media apps, but we're going to kind of stop here at Coleman County. We don't want to get that busy. But as far as we switch over here to high top and look at the velocity, yeah, there's just some strong gusty winds here, and we're pretty far from the radar. In fact, you can see strong gusty winds in Hartselle, moving towards Eva as well. And it's as you get into this part of Morgan County, approaching Eva, there's a lot of hills there. I noticed that as I went down and did Read Across America there in Eva at Eva School. But beautiful country down here, countryside, I should say. But it's awfully hilly. And you know, you get the winds kind of channeling through some of that. So we don't have any tornado threat here right now. And overall, we're just watching strong gusty winds back here towards Owens Crossroads, the Hampton Cove area. The lightning's going down. The velocity's still going to show some gusty winds. So let's reset this view. I want to get down here towards Hampton Cove and Owens Crossroads. So here's kind of the overview. I know we're looking at a lot of different colors here than we normally do, but we have to, just to look at these winds. Strong winds now moving into Owens Crossroads. Kind of got a wind shift here. Let me take that off, take a look at the radar. Yeah, so we'll watch this area down here, storm relative velocity. Again, this is not impressive. I mean, we're talking wind gusts probably 35, 40 miles an hour moving into Owens Crossroads. We are now 50 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock, approaching midnight. We are going to go back to our digital format here. We have no active warnings in our immediate viewing area. There is a severe thunderstorm warning down here in Coleman County. We will continue to watch that. But overall, the entire energy in the atmosphere is slowly starting to fade away as everything moves east-northeast. And again, we really haven't talked a lot about Marshall County or DeKalb County and even southern Jackson County, and that's just because the threat really hasn't been there. But it doesn't mean you won't have some strong storms, maybe isolated damaging wind. But we're going to take this format over to our digital format. So for Margot Gray, DeQuan Lee, and Chelsea Aaron, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. Thanks for staying with us tonight. Again, more of this coverage. If anything changes, catches anything off guard, we're going to jump right back into programming. But for right now, you can find that. We can answer your questions better